Welcome to the Databricks Skill Builder series. We're glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dallas Swift. I'm a solution architect with Databricks. And what I'm going to be talking about today is Lakehouse Federation, a new capability we have as part of Unity Catalog. And the intended audience here are folks who want to learn more about Lakehouse Federation, want to use Lakehouse Federation, and really understand the context in which to do that. And uh, when this is appropriate and what other capabilities are out there within Databricks. So what I'll be talking about during this talk are what Lakehouse Federation really is, and how does it fit within this broader Lakehouse vision that we have here at Databricks. Talk a little bit about how it works, how you set it up, what are the different configurations that you need to have. And also understanding not just what it is and how it works, but also when is it really appropriate? What are some other ways I have once I have my Databricks system set up in order uh, to use this capability or to use a similar capability? And I'll also stop if there are any questions throughout for folks on the call. Feel free to jump in. I'll also stop periodically to see if there are any questions. And with that, I'll dive in. So at Databricks, we believe the best data warehouse is a lakehouse. And so within this lakehouse platform, we support data warehousing, data engineering, data streaming, data science, and ML. All these different capabilities within one platform really what we find accelerates the adoption of data at organizations, adoption of AI at organizations, and having a one-stop shop for all these capabilities both simplifies things like governance as well as accelerates the adoption of data-driven and AI-driven business processes. And in order to achieve this vision, we've built world-class performance on top of data lake economics. So you really high performance for low cost. And one of the advantages of this again is it becomes one source of truth for all your data. So not just the storage of the data, not just a data lake where it's more file-based access versus a data warehouse, which has your relational data, but really all your data and all your data assets and also models in one place. And what I want to focus on, right, is some of our capabilities with respect to integration with the ecosystem, because all organizations out there, this data is already there. It's living in different places, and where Lakehouse Federation fits in is with integration within that ecosystem, right? So it's making it easier to get data or to work with data that are stored in these different systems. And again, focusing on this idea of ease of use, being very focused on the value that's delivered. So not just about where the data is, but getting value out of that data quickly, regardless of what your data estate looks like. And specifically, right, if we look at the some of these capabilities around data warehousing and centralizing the governance, this is where Lakehouse Federation fits in, where you get that great governance capabilities of the Lakehouse. So it becomes again one place to manage your data access, but also you're able to leverage data that might be stored in different systems. And the way we do that is through Unity Catalog, right, which is the Databricks governance solution. And talk a little bit about Unity Catalog, because it is where the solution for discovering, audit, and governing your data assets. And not just with Lakehouse Federation, it becomes not just for data that's stored in or managed by Databricks. It you can bring in additional data assets stored in other systems as well. And so users who are used to going into the Lakehouse, the one-stop shop for all this, all your data assets, can now find data stored in other systems very quickly. Very easily understand your data estate. So not just information stored in Delta tables, but also looking at data stored in other systems. You have access to the same capabilities around lineage and data insights and data discovery that you can get with your data stored in Databricks. So again, that Lakehouse Federation is broadening the scope of what you can do with these governance capabilities in Unity Catalog. And when we look to the future, right? So it's not just about the data and the AI, but leveraging the latest technologies that we're incorporating in the Databricks platform around natural language search and metadata extraction, and data sharing, secure sharing. So all this, these are the great capabilities within the Databricks platform with Unity Catalog, and what we're looking to extend for folks using Lakehouse Federation. So bringing additional data stored in additional systems under that umbrella. And to give you a sense of what we're talking about here, right? If we think of how Unity Catalog manages data within Databricks, so focusing sort of on the middle of the screen here, right? You have the 3-level namespace where you have your catalogs, schemas, and then different objects at the schema level, whether those are things like tables or functions, views, that sort of thing. And this organization can span across your enterprise, and so it becomes very easy for folks in different parts of the organization, maybe in different workspaces, to access data that is managed by within Databricks, maybe in a different workspace or by a different team. And so what we've done with Lakehouse Federation is we've extended this concept to foreign catalogs and schemas and tables. So with Lakehouse Federation, you can connect to these different data systems, these different data warehouses, and create a foreign catalog that's going to read the schemas on that. It's going to read the tables from that. And so users who are used to working in Databricks and want to explore data across their enterprise from within Databricks now have access to those new systems from within the same governance layer that you have with the more traditional Databricks native catalogs and schemas. And again, this brings us to Lakehouse Federation. So no matter where the data lives, whether that's in Delta tables and Databricks, or it's in other systems like Microsoft SQL Server, Redshift, Snowflake, MySQL, excuse me, you can still get the same unified view to all your data, one engine to manage this data and develop use cases to build solutions that add value to your business using the data. And with Unity Catalog, you're getting unified governance across all these data sources. And this feature is currently in public preview. And so anyone can get in and get hands-on with these capabilities. Now, when we think about Lakehouse Federation, think query federation within Databricks, right? So what's it let you do? Again, you can query those external data sources without migrating the data explicitly. Of course, you can. That's sort of the traditional ETL type approach. But if you want to leave the data in place for whatever reason, this will allow you to do that, but still interact with that data from within the Databricks environment. You get, it's read-only data access. So again, if you want to pull data in from one database, maybe blend it from data from a different database, that's totally fine. And what Query Federation is going to do also is it's going to balance compute between Databricks and those external databases. It will push down compute to those databases whenever it can. And for certain more complex type operations, it'll be able to evaluate those on the Databricks side as well if there's not able to push that down. The exact details of which operations are supported for pushdown are available in the documentation and sort of depend on the data warehouse that you're connecting to. And right now, these are the list of supported databases that you can connect to through Lakehouse Federation. Of course, you can connect to another Databricks system. Sorry. And as well as, you can read those here, but SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, and Synapse, Redshift, BigQuery, and Snowflake are all fully supported. And if you're familiar, what we've had for a longer time with file-based data sources are things like concepts like external locations, where you can create credentials in order to connect that. Well, it's a very similar concept with how you set that up with Lakehouse Federation. So instead of credentials, you set up connections where you specify the all the connection information, the authentication information. And once you set up those connections, it lets you create foreign catalogs, which, as we mentioned for UC, it will create a sort of catalog that will represent the database that you're connecting to. And again, once you've done that, you can now query it like any other catalog within Unity Catalog. Next question. Why would you want to do this, right? As what are the good use cases for Lakehouse Federation? Shouldn't the Lakehouse have everything in it? Of course, in the real world, no. All solutions are. There's a lot of different solutions out there. A lot of systems that are already in place, or that are, if you're interfacing with external vendors that have using different types of databases. So really, what Lakehouse Federation allows you to do is, when we see why folks are using this, there can be a couple kind of clusters form. One is, in migrations. It can really smooth the transition, especially if you can imagine a case where you're migrating from one of those other systems into Databricks. You want to go, incrementally, smoothly, kind of change one thing at a time, making sure that everything still works, from a transition perspective. So really, you're reducing that risk, because in the migration, you can leave the data in place, or you can leave some of the data in place, and still migrate, some of those transformation workloads into Databricks, and then before moving, all the data, or completing the migration, right? So it provides a nice little step to more easily migrate. Second use case is around exploratory or ad hoc analysis. So if you have data that's not in Databricks yet, right, but a team is team of analysts likes Databricks, they have machine learning models in Databricks, things like that. They want to set up those. They want to explore new workloads, new use cases that data stored in other systems. Well, rather than before, where you might need to say like ETL that data out and copy it over into Databricks, which has its own kind of life cycle around it. Now you can work with that data directly until you find kind of what you need in order to the types of ETL workloads that you'd want to productionize. And what we find is this really accelerates, again, those sort of exploratory workloads by you postponing that ETL until later on in the process, when the work that you need to do, the kind of transformations that you need to do, the data you need, because you've already done that initial exploratory ad hoc type work. And again, the benefits for this are you get that governance of Unity Catalog, so you can still get all that lineage, that history of everything derived from those data assets, with the developer experience and capabilities of the Lakehouse that your teams are already knowing and using, and are getting value from. So another topic I want to touch on, right, is what other ways are there to connect to external systems? So Lakehouse Federation, what I'm talking about here is one. There, of course, are others that have been in place before. And this is, without getting into things like JDBC connections, things of that nature. But when we think of other ways, so Lakehouse Federation, you can access data stored in other systems. You can access compute from other systems, works with Unity Catalog. And this is really the recommended solution from Databricks, where it's going to make those entire databases available as catalogs, really accelerate those exploratory workloads or facilitate those migrations. Another approach that we like here is delta sharing. So that is if the source system supports, this is a open protocol that we publish here at Databricks. We support at Databricks that will let you access data and stored in other systems. It works with UC. You could use this if you rather than providing like direct access to the other database systems, it's a more sort of managed sharing experience. And then historically, a legacy solution we have is Query Federation. So this is more about, as with Lakehouse Federation, you can access data and compute from other systems, but this is not compatible with Unity Catalog, and it's limited to table-specific types of interactions, right? So it's not creating a foreign catalog that includes all the schemas and tables from the other database. It's looking at a specific, bringing information from a specific table stored on another database. And really, this is something that you would use if if you can't use Unity Catalog for whatever reason, it's not configured, things like that, or there are some potential authentication methods that if there's something that's required that Lakehouse Federation doesn't yet support. Although again, this is as I mentioned, it's in public preview. It's under active development. New support's being added all the time. And so with that, before I just show you what it looks like within the product, I'll pause, see if there's any questions at this point. Okay.
I don't have any questions. I think this is really helpful. Looking forward to the demo.
Thank you. It'll be short and sweet. So as I mentioned, with our similarly to the creating external, referencing external tables, external storage, there's two steps. First, I'm going to go into my catalog here, and I can see there's a couple here. If I go into my external data, we see there's storage credentials. So this should be more about connecting to those systems like S3 or ADLS. And what I'm actually going to go to are connections. And this is where, again, I set up the configuration information to each of these different systems. And from here, I can hit create connection and provide some information. Connection type, say if I want to connect to, I have a SQL server. I can provide, all the different connection information, username, password, things of that nature. And ultimately, then it's going to be available now to build a foreign catalog off of. And one thing I'll say is access to these connections is managed separately from the catalog. So if you want people to access the data, but not necessarily to see the connection information, that is an option as well through Unity Catalog. And once that's done, I see we have actually some examples of foreign catalogs here that we've created. But what you could see, here's one from our Data and AI World Tour. And in this case, we're connecting to a Snowflake database. And we see here's our demo database. And I can see within this database, all my different schemas that I've connected to. And I get the same kind of permissions and governance experience that we get as if it was a Databricks native catalog. I can see, which workspaces have access, things of that nature, and I can come in and look at a specific schema, right, and see what are my tables associated with that schema, and then further come to those tables and get things like the columns of the tables. I can get detailed information, so it'll tell me this is a foreign table. When is it changed, when is it updated, all this types of governance capabilities, again, that you're looking for to understand where this data is coming from. You can now see it from within Unity Catalog. And once it's there, then it can be queried just as you would query any other any other table in Databricks using the same 3-level namespace. And really that was the main highlights with Lakehouse Federation. Again, mentioned it was short and sweet, but I will pause now and see if there are any other questions before we wrap up. All right. Well, if not, then I'll thank you all for your attention. Apologies for the cold I've been fighting, but I really appreciate being able to talk, and happy to be here. Thank you. Oh,
Thanks,
there's
Tom.
some chats.
Feel better.